The condition is really crazy condition.
And that shouldn't give away the whole secret to professional windsurfing.
Maciek giving Antoine elbow a run for his body. Here we go. What a finish!
The guy is kind of talking bullshit.
The team's just got to work a little harder.
Welcome to the Windsurfing Podcast, back again for episode 7. And this week we have arguably the best all-round windsurfer in the world today. Yeah, it's a big call, but when you have dominated the freestyle scene, you've won many a world title and podiums in the slalom, and just last year won the Wave World title. I don't think anyone else can take that crown. You're obviously not wondering who it is. It is, of course, Sarah-Quita Offringa, the undisputed queen of women's windsurfing. And Maciek catches up with her to talk about, well, equality in the sport. We talk about life on tour and those earlier days with her parents. We talk about Wave World titles or world titles and which one means the most. A real interesting chat with Sarah-Quita, the ever smiling and ever loud Aruban princess.
Sarah-Quita, thank you for coming on our little show. I think I should start by greeting you the same exact way you always greet me.
How is that?
Ow, ow, ow! Rutko, what's up? I mean, Sarah, what's up? How are you doing? How's life?
Where's the excitement, man? I'm louder than that.
Yeah, you're way louder. But it's actually genuine. I think nobody ever, I can hear you, from the other side of, the contest area, but anybody else would be annoying, but somehow with you it's just good vibes. Is it always 100% genuine? You're always so much full of energy? How does this work?
I mean, yeah, if I'm yelling, then it's 110% energy. And if I'm not, then you don't hear me and you don't see me either. But usually when I'm yelling, it's
how do you do it? What's the trick? I want to have so much positivity. Is it 15 hours of sleep a day or what is it?
Probably 3 espressos before 10 a.m. And then if you catch me at my caffeine high, man, then the pitch of my voice goes really, really high. And I think I'm just happy to see people on tour, the people on tour are some of my favorite people in the world. And so I'm just excited to meet people and share the windsurfing stoke on the water and on the beach.
Yeah, on the water, you can also be sometimes even I don't know, somebody would do a Vulcan and you would go nuts.
Stoked for that person. I remember when I landed my first Vulcan, I lost my mind. So I'm just as excited for that person as well. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a certain happiness for windsurfing, and all the windsurfing people around me also are very positive people. So, yeah.
Or you see it that way. That's good. Anyway, I know one thing you hated. I read it. I couldn't believe.
Tell me.
You hated windsurfing at first. Is that true?
Oh, so I didn't hate it, but I wasn't good at it straight away. So then if I can't do something, I don't like it so much. The thing is, I was 9 and the sail was pretty heavy, so I couldn't lift it up on my first try. And my brother was 12 and he lifted the sail in his first try and he did a tack on his first try, jibed straight. So he was just going back and forth and I couldn't even lift the thing. So
you were competitive, straight away competitive.
I guess so. I was doing a lot of other sports at the time already. So I did a lot of swimming, tennis, gymnastics. And I couldn't lift the sails. So
you were Aruba champion in swimming or something, no? You were, I saw one clip like it was proper. It was not just going to the pool. but
Yeah, it was proper training. Yeah, I was like in the Aruban selection and stuff. And stuff for Aruban standards, I was good. I had a couple of records on like short distances, freestyle, 50 meters and 100 meters, and backstroke. But that lasted until I was like 16 or something. That's when I was swimming quite seriously. And then windsurfing slowly took over. But I think as a kid, I've stuck to like playing tennis, swimming, and windsurfing the most. So I've done that quite a bit.
How's the scene in Aruba? Because, you know, we know that there always used to be World Cups and this Aruba high winds, and everybody thinks that, you know, Caribbean, beautiful water, etc.
Yeah.
But how is it? How many people windsurf, and what's the general situation there?
Yeah, I think just comparing it to, let's say, 20 years ago, it's quite a difference. It's not the biggest sport on the island. It's very known because I'm a known person on the island, so everyone knows about windsurfing. But it's not very accessible to a lot of people. So I think that is one problem for the locals. It's kind of expensive, you know. But condition-wise, it's one of the best places in the world because it's so consistent all year long. Like from December till August, you're gonna get so many days on the water. There's a lot of kids now. They do mostly slalom, and every time I go on tour, like the older riders are like, Aruba. They used to go there in the 90s, and they had World Cups and everything here. Bjorn Dunkerbeck, Antoine, all those guys have been here.
I think the last one was about 10 years, like in 2011. Because
2011, yeah.
I was just starting to do the tour and I didn't go because obviously I didn't have money. But anyway, you mentioned like everybody knows you. I heard you almost cannot get out of the house, like full celebrity status.
No, that's not true. It's still an island, you know. So the thing is, anywhere I go, people will recognize me and they will say hi to me and stuff. But it's like a really nice thing because it's very supportive. People, they will come up to me to take pictures, and then they're like, when are we going for the next win? Like, they don't ask me, when are you going for the next win? They're like, when are we going? So it's like they're going to battle with me. Yeah, so I have, like, the island is kind of, yeah, I have the support from the island. It's really nice. But not like that I cannot get out of the house. It's actually a very nice thing.
Yeah, but if you want to, I don't know, get drunk one night or go out, meet some people, and you don't want it to be public or whatever, like,
yeah, totally fine. It's an island. It's really not that bad. It's not a paparazzi celebrities things that we see on television. Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're
easy.
always modest. That's not what I heard from
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But whatever.
You be talking to. Depends where I go and what we do.
Yeah. How does a girl from this little island in the Caribbean, on the outskirts of the Caribbean, let's say, become a professional windsurfer? Like, it's not something I can't even name like another pro windsurfer from Aruba from back in the day that you could say, like, you know, that kind of drags you on. Is it the Bonairean thing, or how does it, because everybody needs somebody to, you know, some kind of impulse to bring them to you know.
So I think because we were neighboring islands with Bonaire, we had a couple of guys here in Aruba that were actually really good windsurfers, racers and freestylers. The one of the most known riders, like before me, is Jeroen Westrate. He actually did really well, and he has been on tour in waves. Still, anytime I go to Hawaii, they always ask me about Jeroen. But when I started, I was looking up to like my brother, this local guy Wim Elens, and Javier Santiago, and they had quite a good level. But there were the Bonaires that were like one step ahead, you know. And at the time, I was traveling to Bonaire quite a bit, like 2-3 times a year. So then with the local guys here and seeing the guys in Bonaire, that's where I got my motivation from. most of the time. And the guys from Bonaire, like, they were top notch, you know, they were inventing all the freestyle moves. So I had the best in the world next door. So I think those were the guys I looked up to most starting windsurfing. I still do. And not just because of their windsurfing abilities, but just for how much they love the sport itself, and how much they love being on the water. So like all the excitedness that you're talking about me, I think it's a general thing here in the Caribbean.
Yeah, but then you need to somehow get sponsors, book the tickets, go try, and like, how does that whole situation? And you were super young when you did your first international event. You were 14, I guess.
So like I said, so training wise, I had all of these guys around me, so that was pushing my level. I actually barely windsurf with girls, you know, so only saw guys, and that was my standard. Then I had very supportive parents. Like, I got my first set when I was 10, I guess, a 4.7 sail and 85 liter board. So I kept on training on that. And where I got lucky, I guess, is that the PWA came to Bonaire in 2001, I think. So I entered the amateur event and saw the professional sailing. And the year after PWA came back, and I actually entered the professionals. And I was 12. They didn't wanted me to join because I was too young. But I finished 5th, which was pretty good. And I think because I was at that event that happened to be in Bonaire, I met with more professionals. In the end, I had Svein Rasmussen from Starboard that bought me a ticket to the Canary Islands the year after. And from then on, as soon as you step into the international scene, you kind of get into the spotlight, and it kept on rolling from there, I would say. So I guess everything started rolling the moment PWA came here next door.
That's what I always tell parents and kids, that no matter how unprepared you feel you are, like if you can get a wild card into the event, go, you know, like go, even if you're going to get last. Like I felt I did it way too late, because once you're actually on tour, that's when you start actually properly learning, right? And being around the guys. And
being with the best in the world is the best way to get better, you know? So you can wait if you want, but like you said, if you can, I would also join.
Yeah. So before going to Fuerte your first time, did you expect something? Did you know you were good? Did you progressed so fast at that young age that, you could.
Yeah, I guess what also helped me is that Starboard, they were producing this Pro Kids line. So I actually had, when I was 13, because I was sailing with big gear before, like big people gear. And then I got this Pro Kids board, and on that, I actually learned a lot. So that helped. The first event I did in the Canaries was in Lanzarote, actually, which I wasn't expecting much, because like I said, I was only sailing with guys. And then I got to the event, and I was doing switch stance moves, which was normal for me, but none of the girls were doing it, or barely. So I finished 3rd there. And I think it still didn't sink in, but when I finished 3rd, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And it isn't until like a couple of years after that I started realizing, like, wow, that was pretty good.
I think the very next year you actually won in Fuerte, right? Like at 15 years old.
2006. I won actually I did really bad in Pozo, the event before, so I actually had 0 expectations. And then I went to Fuerteventura, and I guess because I didn't have any pressure or didn't think of it, I just had fun, and I won the event. Also didn't realize until like the last moment that I was actually winning it. Like when they announced it, I was like, oh, wow, great. Yeah.
And how does that feel at such a young age? You go up against people, the Moreno twins, Karen Yagi was competing still, and all these kind of people that you probably saw on magazines, or I don't know, like you didn't. How does it feel surreal, or did you expect because you were already last year doing it? And Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm wondering, and does it change much in your mind? Like, okay, I can do it now. I'll do it again.
yeah. I didn't have much input from professionals when I started. It was like no magazines. There weren't so many online platforms. Only when I saw them in Bonaire the first time is like the first time I realized there were professionals out there and that they were good at what they did. So that's when I saw the Morenos, Karinyagi for the first time, and I saw their tricks, and that actually pushed me to, for the year after, to keep training hard. I said, like, I want to do that too. And then at the same time, when I went to those events in the Canaries, it was, you're a kid. So actually, I just remember wanting to beat them also, because I think to get to the top, like to have that motivation, you have something to work towards. And in my mind, I didn't see the age difference or anything. I was just looking at the tricks that they were performing on the water. It's like, I am going to do that too. And yeah, so I started doing that in the heats. I just think that back then when I won, it was cool, but I don't think I thought so much about it. Because I'm not saying it came easy, but it came quickly. And now, for example, like I moved into slalom and waves, and that took me a bit longer to get to that point. So like I feel like now I maybe appreciate it a bit more, even though I had put the effort and the work into it at the time also as a kid. I just didn't think of it as...
Yeah, you don't analyze. I think you don't analyze. I talked to Brausinho before, and he told me the same, that, he won a contest at 16 on the indoor, and he just, I don't know, he just went and did it. And many times, if like we grow up and we lose that ability to go out and just do it, which is insane. As a kid, I think you don't think about it, you don't analyze it at all, right? Same with learning new tricks. You must have progressed insanely fast at that time. Maybe. Yeah, you did. We all saw it on magazines and on pictures and on videos and all that.
Yeah. I think just my main point is that, like, back then it happened and I was happy about it, but like these days I'm way more appreciative of winning an event or doing well and stuff, because I just realizing the work and effort that has gone into it. So,
yeah, it doesn't seem so easy anymore, right? Like it did back then, I guess. Not easy, but like you say, you analyze and stuff. Anyway, the following year, I think I met you at 16. We're the same age, and you remember the very first time I met you in Silt. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was just sitting in the sailor's lounge in the evening, having a beer, as you do at 16.
Yeah, I wasn't.
And you just walk straight up to me. You just, like, from the entrance, you walk straight up to me. And what did you say? You remember?
No. Wait, something about not having a beer, I think.
Yeah, like, how old are you?
Yeah.
I'm like 16. All right. So why are you having a beer?
Oh, man.
Like this. Like my 16-year-old mother.
I was 1 year older.
Had similar hair too.
Yeah. I remember talking about the afros, because I think people were like connecting us a bit like that. Because actually your hair is bigger than mine and blonder.
Nah, it's not bigger. Definitely not. Not when you had it. When you had it really big, it was huge.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of segue from this, because that's not, I just didn't say this to sound cool. What I'm getting at is, do you feel like being on tour on such a young age, being away from home, being kind of in the spotlight and having these two different worlds and switching and this and that, do you feel like you lose something, you gain something, but you also lose that kind of normal adolescence period? In Poland it is having a beer at 16 and these kind of things, but did you feel like or you didn't feel at that time, but looking back, do you see that a little bit?
Yeah, so I had my parents on tour with me for a long time. So they kind of kept me in check also. So not that I'm like gonna go off the track, but I think it was very important for me for me to have them with me all the time until I was about 18. So I actually, where I feel that you kind of get mature quickly because you're around older people all the time. And I think actually that's a really good thing. Only thing that sometimes I felt like I was missing out on certain stuff at home because I was traveling all the time, because I saw my friends were going to parties and I was missing out on a couple of things, which at the time I didn't like so much. But if I think about it now, like who has these experiences of traveling so much, And I think that traveling has, as for you, I think it just matures you a bit quicker.
Yeah, then you come back, like at certain point I felt like I was coming back from a windsurf trip with my older friends and then going back to school, and I was feeling old, like these guys are like, I have no connection to what, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
you're already thinking about traveling, booking tickets and this and that, and they're talking about video games or whatever, like it's just different.
Once I started, go ahead, sorry.
But you experienced it way more for sure, because you were away a long time, and it's like every time you travel, it's the other side of the world, and so I was just wondering.
I don't think I traveled that much because I lived here in Aruba. First of all, I got to windsurf most of the time here. I didn't have to escape the winter and stuff. So I would only leave for a photo shoot in April. I'd be gone all summer. I would be gone all summer, and then I would be gone in September somewhere for Silt. So I would be gone three times a year. I do think that on tour, like Kiri was on tour, Goyito, like we were all a bit the same age also. So it was a good time, It wasn't just me with all the older people. Like I was sailing with them most of the time anyway. But I feel like I was living in two worlds. Like this only really started once I moved to Holland to study. And that's where I felt it a lot. And I don't know why, but it's like you were saying, you get there to school and people are only thinking about like the next party, or, only looking forward to the next like fun night out, when I was thinking about booking tickets and what trip to do and just looking a bit further, like I was actually studying to make sure I finish everything so I could fly out, and
but now looking back, I really appreciate having these two worlds, because then you really switch off, Now I wish sometimes you're like, you go from an event to a test trip, photo shoot, promotional event, whatever, and you don't get that time where not everybody treats you. I mean, I already feel sometimes I don't want to be treated as just through this window of being a windsurfer, and then you must get it 100 times more, because you're a million times world champion and so recognizable, etc., So I guess this is what I was trying to get at, and try to squeeze out of you whether sometimes it feels, a little bit.
I just feel like every time I'm home, like people treat me normal. Like on the street, people say hi to me and congratulate me and stuff. But like with my family, it's all very normal. With all my friends also. But like just the tour thing, I just feel like, when I'm on tour, sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on stuff at home and family. But then when I'm home and with family, I'm like ready to leave and go on and experience things again, So that's the tour thing that I struggle with sometimes. But you just gotta like enjoy both.
Yeah, so sick of traveling. Then you go home for 5 days and you're like
ready to go.
Especially when you go back to cold, we probably experienced that in Holland. Like you go back to the cold, like 5 days, you're at like, I start looking at forecast tickets whatever, you know, just to at
It was
least
the
feel like I
best
tried.
Yeah, yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, so you get on tour like 14, 15, 16, and back then the freestyle scene, it wasn't what it is now. All these guys that are on tour now, they were on tour then, but they were probably like 16, 18, 20-year-olds. I don't know, Anthony, Ricardo, Mavison, all these. Goito is a bit maybe younger, but all this group. And it was a pretty, I think I did, I asked Thomas Traversa about it. He was there as well, you know, and he mentioned some wild times. How was it for you to come see that, you know, it's like it's basically a group of friends, you know, maybe competing, but, you know, out there having fun and experiencing and learning. Did you get to actually hang out, or was it like your parents put you in a bubble and kind of?
Yeah. So yeah, I think my parents, my mom especially, were quite protective of me because first of all, as a girl, I was like 14, 15 getting on tour. So actually it was like windsurfing and going back home. We actually spent a lot of time with the Bonairean crew. Like we would hang out a lot, you know, and then if we'd be at places, like I wouldn't go, like now I go to Poso like 6 weeks in advance, train and have like a certain lifestyle there and then compete. But back then we would just arrive 2-3 days before, compete and then leave again. So I think it was pretty, not strict, but it was like pretty straightforward. It wasn't until after, once I started traveling with my brother and then later by myself, that it really became a family, you know, everyone on tour, and you kind of look out for each other. And I loved it as a kid with my parents, but I think I love it even more. Like every year, I love it more being on tour. Like you said, you're there with a big group. Actually, you're all friends, even though you're competing against each other. And yeah, I started experiencing that after like I was 18, 19, and yeah, I really, really enjoy it. It's there's some experiences in there like that you cannot explain to people, you know, and
Not at all. And you should some that you shouldn't really mention too.
Yeah, probably. But those events like in Asia, for example, like yeah,
it's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Like going to Jinha Beach for sure.
Somewhere you wouldn't go to necessarily, but if it wasn't for the events, yeah, good times there.
So then you kind of win your first event, then you win your first title, and then you go on like an absolute rampage, I guess, for 12 years. You just, I think you lost one heat, right? In 12 years, 12 straight titles. And just, yeah. My question is, where do you take the motivation from?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a new challenge? How does it come about? Do you just go to the event just because it's in your contract? Do you actually enjoy it? You know, like.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's like you're working towards something. There's this level and you want to get to that level. So that's a motivation at first. Then I got the title. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep the title, keep training. Didn't really think about it. So then I won it 2, 3, 4 times. So it's like, okay, this is going well. And that's when I started to think like, you know what, I'm going to try the different disciplines. So that's when I moved into slalom sailing as well. Which at first I was making a lot of mistakes, but I also had like highlights. And then slowly I started to become more consistent. Like from one year to the next, all of a sudden I was consistent. And I won that title in 2011, I think. Did that a bit, like slalom freestyle, and then realized, you know, I can do it. So then slowly I started moving into wave sailing. So I was just looking for the next challenge every time, because I do need, like I like competing and I like the pressure of competing because it makes me perform better. And yeah, I just saw that waves was the next challenge. So sometimes, sometimes for freestyle, like now it's like really exciting, you know, like Micah beat me last year and it just like gave me that kick up my butt that I needed to train really hard and keep
Well,
pushing.
let's for the people that don't know, you won the
Yeah.
single elimination. She came back through the double, and you had a final. She beat you, and then you had a sail off, a super final, which happens when, and then you beat her. So she didn't. I mean, she beat you in a heat. She didn't actually
Yeah,
win the contest.
but that's all I needed, you know, like I didn't need more than that.
I remember being on the beach that day because I think you guys were competing before the slalom.
No, this was in there where she beat me. She didn't beat me.
I
in
know,
Fuerte.
but no, yeah. Yeah, no. So
In
I must have
Fuerte
been
was
watching. I
really
must have been
close.
watching. Yeah, in Fuerte it was really close.
But
And
then
there I must have been watching on the live stream.
yeah.
But I remember you being kind of emotional. I don't know, like you
Yeah,
were. I don't know what was it like. Not sad, but not. I don't know what was it. Happy for her, but got it for yourself, and
no, I was a total wreck that day. I think I got so nervous because that's a year that I could have won my 10th title. So that actually got to me a bit. Like in my mind, it's like, oh, this is number 10. I can make it happen now. And then at the same time, like Mike was building a bit of momentum with the crowd also, you know, because I think at that point I'm not the underdog anymore and people want to see the underdog win or they want to see if someone could beat me. And Micah could do it, you know, if she sailed at her best. And so I was just really nervous before the heat, and during the heat I didn't sail my best. And yeah, I could hear them shout for her, and it just like it hurts a bit, you know. But in the end, that's competition, and it's not like against me. It's more like they want to see the best person win, or they also wanted to see if she could make it happen. So I got back to the beach and I was all emotional about it because I got all nervous and I didn't enjoy it. And I just said, like, you know, if every competition is going to be like this after this, then I don't want to compete anymore.
yeah, I never seen you in a with a face like this. I couldn't really. That's why I couldn't really identify like if you were sad or pissed off or you know just disappointed in yourself or whatever it was, you know. So
no, I was just a bit broken. I was like, oh man, this is like I didn't enjoy it. So yeah, I just need to deal with myself. Like if I ever get to that point again that I don't enjoy competing, it's not that I didn't want to lose. It's just like I was too nervous. I didn't see a good heat, and I'm there to like put down my best performance every time.
yeah,
that's what.
Welcome to the world of like regular competitors and human beings. You know, that happens, and it happens. You know, like I mean, in slalom, I think that happens like every elimination to half of the guys, you know.
No, that's different because I've had it also in waves and slalom and freestyle. Like I've had bad heats, but not because I wasn't focused. But here I was so nervous, you know. It's just like I just lost the fun of it. But if I have a bad heat, it's okay. I just get this. You'll see me with a different face then. Like I get this pretty pissed at myself. But
it's funny how you mentioned the energy of the crowd kind of going against you, because the same thing happened in Tenerife a few years back with Daira, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's funny how the perspective changes once you kind of get to that level, because I cannot really understand. So there was a heat where I think Steffi Val beat her.
Yeah.
And then you girls, you cheered Steffi up the beach, right?
Yeah.
Daira took it really personally that you were cheering against her, all of you, you know? And I'm wondering, like, do you need to win like 20 world titles to feel like that? How does that feeling come?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess for me that was the same situation, except for that Steffi actually won, and she can take it however she wants. But in the end, it's the same with me. In the end, people just want to see she is unbeatable, like in Pozo and in Tenerife. She's like the best jumper in the world, So of course, people are gonna be excited to see someone else take her down, which is the same case for me in freestyling. So it's not like it's not cheering against that person. It's more cheering for the person that actually won and made it happen. Because I think also that gives other people like inspiration, like, it is possible to beat that person. So I just thought it was a cool thing for Steffi also. And yeah. I just started feeling like that a couple of titles in. I started noticing that I'm not like the underdog and people want to see other people win as well. Like, I don't know how it happens, but I just remembered that year, like all of a sudden it switched and I was like, oh man, this is like a total different experience. And let me tell you, like, it's hard to be at that point. It's hard to stay at the top. Getting there, you have a reason to move forward and upwards. But if you're up there, like, who else do you look up to go further, So it's hard to stay up there.
Yeah. And then things like that it's in your contract, that you get money for it, you start feeling that it's normal, right? You don't necessarily take that as motivation anymore. You need to find new motivations, I would imagine, every year. I think the like if you see like any of the athlete, like the best, like Kelly Slater or Michael Jordan or all these guys, they try to always find, even if it's not really real, they try to find these little motivations, whether they be even sometimes negative, like, I don't know, this guy said something about me, I'm gonna destroy him or whatever, So I'm wondering what it is for you, because you did win, if I'm correct, 12 freestyle titles in a row now. So there must be something.
My main goal is just to like raise the bar for women in freestyling, and I have the ability, so that is already a push for me to do better. Like, over the years I've had, not necessarily towards me, but just towards women in general, like I've heard so many comments from men very often, and that's kind of a big motivation for me to keep doing my best. So it's not necessarily that I need to win, but it's like, as a whole, I feel like since I have that ability to be where I am in freestyling, it also helps and show that what is possible. It also helps other women to get better,
Are you not tempted to just enter the man contest and kick some freaking ass? I know you try.
So I don't think I think they said it once or twice, but I don't think it's actually like as an exhibition event maybe, but on the PWA, I don't think they're going to do that. Though I don't necessarily need to do that either. I mean, for me, it's already enough to like train with other guys that are really good. Like sailing with Amado, for example, or seeing Goyito on the water is really, really inspiring. So that's already enough for me.
But you did I heard you beat Marco Luffen in some exhibition event in somewhere. Is that true?
I don't remember if I won. I think I remember him winning that event in the end. But I don't remember if I actually beat him. But I remember he was nervous. Yeah, pretty nervous.
I mean, this happened when Daida, somewhere in the early 2000s, she entered actually a male event in Pozo, and I don't think, I'm not sure if she passed any heats, but it was the story of the event pretty much, and I wouldn't want to come up against her. I mean, no. Imagine you break your mast or whatever, or you go to the bunker, and for the rest of your life you need to hear
For the rest of the life of your life, you have to live at the bunker. Can't show your face.
Yeah. So that.
Would be cool to do though, just for fun. Like in Pozo, we've had these events where they have several like team heats. So I think I've been in a heat with Victor Fernandez and then a junior also. So then they kind of mix the men and women. Yeah. I think it's actually kind of cool to do.
I would pay to see you go against men for sure.
In maybe in freestyling.
In freestyle, of course. Yeah. I mean, we spoke like I think a few years ago in Forte. We kind of start asking around. I don't know, Arnaud, and I guess somebody started asking around like the freestylers, and they said like, yeah, you would definitely pass a couple heats. If you sail your best, you can definitely.
Yeah, there was 1 or 2 years that back then that I think I could, but then I went to study in Holland, so I feel like I didn't progress so much in those years. And now, I don't know, would be cool to try. I think it's a good motivation because, like, yeah, I am very competitive. So if I do happen to have to sail against,
let me text Rich Page right now.
Yes, send him a message.
We mentioned Daira and her competing against men.
Yeah.
The twins together happen to be probably the most dominant thing in women's windsurfing we've seen. And I actually had to like Google it because I had no idea how many titles they won.
28, I think, together.
So so that's sure. They won 28.
Yeah.
You won 17 now. Is that something that's on your mind a little bit? I mean, it sounds like a lot, but if you win the 3 disciplines for like 4 years in a row, you're there. And I mean, that's 2 of them. Daira has 18 and Ibaya has 10, one of which is in supping. So
okay, it's with supping.
Yeah,
so
27 in windsurfing and 28 with supping.
So no, I'm not dedicating my life to earning the most titles ever. Not at all. I don't know. I think after you won a couple of titles, you realize that, I don't know, I'm not defined by those titles necessarily, It's not my life goal. It's like every year is a new year and I just want to be a better windsurfer. Like Sarah-Quita today, like I would kick my butt from 10 years ago, like I am so much better than I was back then, even though that was worth a title back then as well. So I'm way more satisfied knowing that I'm a better windsurfer now than I was back then. So then the satisfaction in winning the title, like it really comes when I feel that I've done better.
And I think especially that last wave sailing world title, that seemed like I was there kind of on the wave tour when you were starting and you were like really definitely more motivated than for anything else, right? To just start from zero, start from scratch, like a flat water, almost a lake girl, right? I mean,
I had no clue how to turn a board. Like I was just spinning out the fins all the time, and I thought that was epic. And then I heard from people that I wasn't actually turning on the wave. I should use the rail of the board, and So I think that was just really fun. It's like a learning process. And being at the bottom again, it's like I keep mentioning it. It's just like I had something to work towards. And I feel like freestyling and wave sailing are 2 of the most fun disciplines for like free sailing because it's such a it's so creative, on the water. Like no wave is the same, no turn is the same. So I think every session is just
And I remember we were, I think, texting your first Aloha Classic, and you said like, "Oh, I cannot believe this is real wave riding. I can't
Dude.
believe I was hitting the white water in Pozo. Now this is so amazing. Like you were so genuinely like shocked almost.
Hey man, I didn't grow up with waves. There's no waves in Aruba, not
I know,
really.
but didn't you watch videos? I mean, like.
Sure I did, but I also saw many Pozo videos, and that's where everyone does like this freestyle stuff on the whitewater. So to me, that's wave sailing. And then I think I went to Cape Town in 2014 for the first time, and that's when I've been to Maui, but I didn't sail Hokipa that much. Like the first day I went out in Hokipa when I was like 14, yes, I've seen waves. So in my mind, it's like, oh, it looks great. So I went out, first wave comes up, and I just see like a wall of water for as far as I can see, you know. Good thing I knew how to freestyle, so I chicken jive, and like I raced back inside because that thing was huge. So that was like my first encounter with waves. But it wasn't until like Cape Town in 2014 that I really like got pounded a bit. And yeah, honestly, I was a bit scared at first, you know, because you get tumbled, you don't know where you are. But in the end, that's just experience. And after Cape Town and stuff, I went back to Pozo, and that's when I realized, okay, so wave sailing is like, it's not just this in Pozo, but it's also like in Maui and that kind of stuff. So yeah, Maui, the Aloha Classic every year is very challenging.
Yeah, especially coming from Silt, from the cold, jet lag,
Yeah.
you don't have so much time to actually warm up, to prep, to set up your gear, and yeah, there's a lot of things. I really watch this, and I'm like, holy shit, the guys just flew in, and like it's 10 knots and mast high, and
It's the most massive swell every time. It's not like you don't ease into it there. Like every time we get there, we get like the biggest forecast every time.
don't worry, the first time I went, I got jaws on my second day. So
But you went out straight in Jaws or what?
yeah, but I was shitting my pants like you don't believe. It was
Oh, man.
anyway. So where does slalom fit into all this?
Like right now, or
Yeah, like in general, because you describe all these, you know, being so motivated for wave sailing and freestyle being kind of what puts the bread on the table, let's say, or whatever, and you know, like this work kind of freestyle would be work, yeah, waves would be this passion.
No, I think slalom is a bit more work than freestyle. So slalom is also very accessible here, flat water, so it wasn't that hard to like train and improve in slalom. I think the most training and improving I did was at the competitions though. I don't know, like I said, I wasn't very consistent in the beginning. I still don't think my jibes are the greatest, but I have solid starts and my speed is good. And back in the day, there's a couple of guys that always help me out with tuning and stuff. Like Arnon has helped me so much and just taught me the basics of everything. And then when I'm home here, there's Ethan Westera, who's also insane. So I have some people around me that help me out. And I think in the end, like I figured it also out. And then every time, like slalom is a lot of preparation on land with the gear. And I just feel like I'm really good in certain conditions, for especially big gear like 7/8 and big board, 7/8 medium board, 7/0. On the smaller gear, I'm not as solid because it doesn't get that windy here in Aruba. But yeah, I don't know. I just accumulated some experience along the way, and I have good people around me to help me with the gear. So,
But if you like, because
the
last few years you've been in and out of the slalom tour, let's say.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, you won, I think, 4 titles, like almost in a row, and now you're kind of in and out. Is it that because it's too much? Everything is too much. The waves, the freestyle, or is it just like you just don't want to be at the beach 300 days a year?
Yeah, it was just it was taking a toll on me. It was too much. I am not at the beach 300 days a year. Like if I'm doing slalom, freestyle, wave, I'm traveling and dragging gear around most of the time just to get from one event to the next or go from one training spot to the other. So I felt like it was taking away from my time on the water. Like I wasn't able to improve in freestyle and wave as much as I wanted to. And yeah, I just felt like I really wanted to improve in freestyle and wave. I was at home like 1 month a year, so everything takes its toll. Like I was low on energy. So then I realized I need to like stop something, which is for me the most obvious was slalom, because I think that's also the discipline that I can get back into quicker. Because wave sailing for me is now, I think, like just physically and with all the impacts you're making, I need to invest time in that now. And then because I already have the experience with slalom, I can come back to that.
Yeah, also you
But yeah, it's been about 2 years off tour now. Excuse me?
you don't need to be so nimble, and you don't need to be so, you can start
Yeah.
slaloming again at 35 or whatever. So.
Yeah, I think so. So I have done like one slalom contest at the year if it made sense, if I was there anyway. And every time, like I love sailing slalom, but competing is like the ultimate adrenaline rush, more than waves, more than freestyle. So I live for those contests, like coming up to the starting line with 8 other girls and racing to the first mark. There's nothing like it. So it's not like I prefer freestyling and wave sailing that much more. It's just I love sailing slalom also.
Yeah, it just sucks that it takes all this preparation, right?
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. But I feel like, so like I got the reward for it last year with winning the wave title by not doing slalom. So it was worth it. But I think like slowly I might like move back into slalom. I think I'm itching.
Foiling?
I have been foiling a bit here at home. It's a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes because my foil jibes are still not so solid. And yeah, I don't like it when I'm not so good at something. So like I feel like a total kook, honestly. Yeah, I just need to learn how to tune the foil a bit better, I guess. But it's fun. It's fun to cruise around. I just feel like maybe I need to do a contest to really get into it. So maybe next year, if there's a possibility for it, I might join a contest just to gain that experience also. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into what I think might be the most interesting part, or the most emotional, let's say. How, compared to men, how much, and you don't need to give me numbers, but you can give me like more or less a level. How much money does a 17-time world champion have, like in every discipline, make compared to men? Let's say like you know the numbers, we all know the rumors, we all know the who is making what and whatever. I know more or less, but give us like a little rundown, and why do you think that is?
Okay, so very honestly, I don't know the numbers, first of all, like from all the guys. Yeah, so sometimes just if I think about it, just the fact that I'm doing all 3 disciplines and I'm doing them all very well, I think a guy doing all 3 disciplines would be unpayable these days, And I think for doing all 3, I'm at the same level of like one guy doing slalom, and one guy doing slalom really well, because I feel like slalom guys are the ones that earn the most compared to like freestyling and wave. Maybe there's some wave guys that do really well also. But I feel like as 3 persons in one, I'm worth the same as one guy, I guess. I think. I don't know. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I mean, it's quite a big discrepancy, but let's dive into this a little bit.
The thing is, I cannot say much about it because I do not know the actual numbers. It's just like a feeling I get sometimes that like, I just feel like I put in the effort for like 3 people, and it's like, yeah, it is a fact that as a woman you are earning less than guys, and then yeah, I would say that I'm lucky that I'm doing all 3 and doing them good. So I do. I mean, I do live off.
Let's say you go to a sponsor. You have your yearly meeting. What do you hear? Like, do you hear "We love you, but the business is tough"? Or
yeah, every year.
But does that conversation circle around girls versus guys? Like,
Oh man, I just think in general, like from back in the day compared to now, like things are so much tougher for all the businesses. So they do have to like, I know like from back then till now, it was easier to get gear and get budget. The first 2 years I was on tour, it was like that. It's like, okay, great. So that was kind of my standard. And then now, doing negotiations is like, yeah, it's you just feel that it's much harder for all the companies as well. So yeah, I don't have so much comment on it, honestly. It's hard for a lot of riders.
oh, because I think that's where the whole that's where like the soul of that problem between girls, you know, of girls feeling undervalued is basically the money, right? Because this is a representation of how you're valued within the sport, right?
Yeah.
And you're the best person to talk about it because you're a freaking world champion in 3 disciplines, and current in 2, you know, and not so long. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's who better to give that perspective, you know? Because if you have a certain perspective, then for other girls, it can only be tougher, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to whine, but I just want to hear your thoughts where this comes from, because I have mine and we all have ours, and we've all been to those meetings. We've all, you know, been in those email threads that talk about these things, and yeah, just wanted to know your thoughts a little bit.
Yeah, I think a general saying that like over the years we've heard quite often is that like they say that guys sell more gear than women, first of all. So then, you know, promoting guys is gonna bring the company more earnings, you know? That's what they say. Then there's another thing that they say, like, you know, the level of the women is not so high, so then, you know, it's not worth that much. But, you know, what we're doing now, the guys are also doing 5 years ago, let's say in freestyle and in waves, and they were earning that was earning double what we're earning now, you know, and we're doing what they were doing then. It's just like being compared to them all the time. Yes, our level is going to be lower. But if you look back in time, we're doing what they were doing as well, and they're just not valuing it like that. So I feel like they just shouldn't be comparing the women to the men all the time. That's where my main motivation comes from, to like just raise the level so we don't hear like, you know, the women's level is not that great. It is really high. And then after that, I had one more comment. And then what happens very often to us is that we're being promoted on like, sure, it's also a good thing. Like the good thing about windsurfing is that it is for everybody, and you should promote it as an extreme sport, as a family sport, that men can do it, women can do it, kids can do it. But then you find very often that women are portrayed on beginner gear and freeride gear in a bikini and, you know, with a hand in the water, which is nice. But we also have shots, like pretty epic shots with freestyling and wave sealing and going fast on slalom gear. And to get more women into the market, how are you going to do that if you're only promoting men doing all of that, mostly promoting men doing all of that stuff? Like, put a picture, use Daida, use Ibaya, use me, Uda, Mike, Ariana, like use them in their respective disciplines, because we're the ones that are going to pull more women into the market, not the guy that's doing it. So I feel like from the brands, maybe they can push a bit more.
I think you touched on something that's really important, that probably as the current situation, 80% of windsurfers are men. So then the brands, they obviously, their job is to sell. So then they want to sell to their majority customer. But then if they promote it to women, maybe there would be more women. So it's like a kind of a wheel that, you know, you cannot really.
For sure, because women relate to women and men relate to men. So they're like that just shows that it's like, if it's 80% men.
Pretty sure women relate to men as well. But, you know, this kind of, back in the day, it was that, like, you know, like you say, bikini, hand in the water and whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, this became sexist now.
Yes.
You know, we're living in this world where there is so much more awareness and kind of input on that, not to portray women that way. And then, like, so what's the angle? What's the niche? You know, like, because I think if you look at any successful women's sport, there is a little bit of a different angle, because if you're selling a product, it cannot just be the same product, like you say, 5 years later. You know, the level of windsurfing needs to be slightly different, you know? So like tennis, they connected it, I guess, to, I don't know, fashion, right? Or surfing, it got connected again to this bikini fashion, which now they're, you know, really aware not to push too much, but it's still kind of there. The girls are modeling and this and that. So what is it for windsurfing? You know, what is it? How can we try to get you girls more value? Because you say you hate the freeride stuff. I actually like the idea of putting girls on these 3-cam sails that these days are absolutely amazing. They're as fast. They just have a little bit less top end range, which you know, you don't really use that much because you don't need to go super overpowered or whatever as we do. They're easier to jibe and whatever, and then you get the brand kind of like an opportunity to promote a different product through the PWA tour, you know. But girls hated it, and the brands actually hated it too, that idea. So it fell through, and I'm wondering, do you girls have these kind of ideas, you know? Because I was trying to think today and yesterday. I was prepping for this interview, and it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So all this bikini stuff, you know, to me it's fine if you're also promoting the sport itself, you know? Like, everyone promotes themselves in a different way, and it's totally fine. And it is part of windsurfing. We are at the beach. We are like in not so much clothing, and so I think that's totally fine. But I don't hate the free riding. I just feel like you can use that, but also use the other stuff, which shows like the higher level of the women. I love free riding. The 3-cam thing, I think that was a thing. I think I even was confronted with it at some point. I just realized, like, if I'm sailing a 3-cam against someone that has a 4-cam sail, that person is likely going to be faster, even though you're overpowered. So I think there were some tested that were really fast, but like the ultimate speed is when you go with a 4-cam sail. So like for PWA contests and stuff, I would stick with that sail. But if you're promoting that 3-cam sail to a free rider, like a free rider that wants to go fast in their free sessions, I will probably use that sail in my free session. But if it's a contest, yes, I will use the most high-end sail. But it's just a hard question. I just think that like we push ourselves a lot as girls because we're able to promote ourselves a lot. But then I feel like it's also part of the brand's job to maybe push us a little bit more, I think. Because again, if you're saying that's only 80%, like 80% is men, then it means that there's so many more women that could get into the sport. And yes, you say women relate to men as well, but I know for a fact that there's so many women that they're very intimidated to even get into windsurfing. Like, again, like if there's a guy there like with all these muscles holding onto this, no offense, there's a lot of guys that don't have the perfect technique because they're so strong, you know? So for a woman to see another woman holding onto a sail, that will make it look more accessible, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's also not, you have all this gear, you need to carry it, you have to downhaul the sail. I mean, you probably have that power because you've done it for so many years, but actually not the slalom sail. I remember you with the little.
Better at it now, yeah. But so back in the day, I needed other guys to pull it for me. But I think windsurfing is such a fun sport, and it's an insane lifestyle. And the moment that literally everyone gets hooked to windsurfing is when you start planing. That feeling of blasting across the water, and anyone can get to that point at this moment with the quality of gear we have now. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the angle, like more lifestyle and traveling and these kind of things. I see like Lena doing a lot of the vlogs and stuff. And
she created this blog where like this forum where more women can find each other and stuff. So I think that's a big thing. Again, if there's a lot of men in the sport and women don't see like those other women there, they might not join. But then when they realize there's more people out there that also want to join, then maybe more women will come into the sport.
But at the same time, what do you think when you see, maybe girls not necessarily, like in slalom, the participation is great, right?
Yeah.
And freestyle is just, windsurfing already is small and specific. And freestyle is even more specific, and then you have that you're throwing like, I don't know, scopus and kabikuchis and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the drop off in level is just huge, so it's, I don't know, it's just so hard to, if you're an organizer, it's just so hard. I don't know. I don't know what to say here. Like, I want to touch on this subject and I want to get into it, but I just have no answers. I almost have no questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's a vicious circle, like this is a story that has been going on for years. But for my story, for example, like I got really good support from the start. I am lucky that I am from Aruba, so I had so much time on the water, so I've been able to like develop my skills and improve all the way up till I was like 18 years old. And then once I was in Holland, I didn't windsurf as much. But then compare someone that lives in Europe, doesn't get all the support, so like maybe has 1 or 2 sails and 1 board for a year, which gets damaged, doesn't get as much time on the water, and then financially also needs to support herself and is probably studying because, just not getting the support from the industry. you just don't have as many hours on the water compared to guys who have been supported financially a bit more, who maybe have chosen not to study and stuff, but they're spending time on the water. So the difference for sure mostly is that most guys, they've had more hours on the water and they've had the support to be able to do that. And I think so the less hours you spend on the water, less chances you have to get better as well. So it just like kind of keeps on going.
Yeah, I understand that, but I had this argument with some girls before, like, you know, how many guys race on borrowed money to try to make it, or how many guys quit school, university, or whatever, and just go all in. And if they make it, they make it. If not, you know, so.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about, I do think that a lot, in general, windsurfing is a smaller sport and most people are having a hard time to do it. But the likeliness of a guy getting better support than a girl, it's there and it's true. So if you're, yeah. You know, like I know guys are also struggling and they have put everything in it. But that's again the same thing. Compare that guy to the top level guy who is getting everything. The top level guy is the one that progresses more because he has more, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's actually easier to stay in that circle. Do you feel like moves like equal prize money in Pozo, does that move the needle a little bit? Do you see girls going like, okay, I can actually, you know, make a few €1,000 there and, you know.
Hey, I noticed it was a huge difference, man. Like I do the event because I love the event. I want to get better, but then you check your bank accounts like, whoa. And it's somehow that kind of like releases a bit of stress because it's like you can plan other things because you're earning a bit more. So I think it is very motivating that they put equal prize money there. For sure, if they start doing this at other events as well, is definitely a big push for many women, I think. Yeah,
this is so hard. I mean, I put it on my list of things to ask you, and I was like, how am I gonna steer this conversation? It's like, it's impossible. I mean, we all would like to see girls with more support, but we also understand why there isn't this support, and at the same time there is no obvious
I mean, in the end, everything comes back to the fact that just that windsurfing it isn't as big of a sport as it was back in the day, you know. Just back in the day everything was so much easier. Gear is quite expensive, not everyone can afford it, so maybe companies are selling less, and then, you know, kind of keeps on going like that. I guess for the tour, we've been talking about it for a while. Like, we just need to find another way to add value to those events for organizers and stuff. So there's like several angles to look at it, I guess, and no one has the answers right now.
Okay, to move on from this heavy
Let's go.
Let me read you one thing.
And
this is going to be the beginning of the end of this conversation. So the first thing I do always is I look at a PWA profile of a person. And on your profile, there's a little bio and, you know, something that, I don't know, a 13, 14-year-old Sarah-Quita must have written.
I think I was 12.
What are your ambitions? Represent Aruba, make people more enthusiastic about windsurfing in Aruba. I would really want to surf in Barbados and Margarita. Signed, Sarah-Quita Rastagal. I guess, you've kind of fulfilled your ambition and then some.
Except that I haven't windsurfed in Barbados yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
I'm gonna make that happen though. Fulfilled. Check for what was it?
Making
first
people
one?
more enthusiastic and represent Aruba.
Represented, yeah.
Surfing
Yeah.
margarita. But do you catch yourself looking back sometimes? Like a thing like this COVID thing that, we don't know what's gonna happen. Like, do you look back sometimes at your career, at the things you've done, and
Yeah, thing is, I've been doing it for a long time now. Like, I've been on tour since 2005, let's say, so it's like 15 years. I catch myself looking back now a bit more, and like I understand that I probably have more years behind me than ahead of me on tour. So that's actually quite hard as well. But I just know that I've had the greatest time being on tour, and I think at the beginning I didn't necessarily set these goals and have these ambitions. Like, I just wanted to windsurf, and I thought it was awesome to windsurf with the best in the world. And I started doing that at 12, 13 years old, so that was almost like my standard. That's what I was used to sail with the best.
Yeah.
So just looking back at it now, I'm just grateful I had all those opportunities and still have.
What's next for Sarah-Quita?
So as much as I love being home and being with my family, it's been 5 months. I feel like I need to start traveling again, and just made me realize how much I'm not here for. So I love the tour, competing is fun, but I don't live necessarily for all the contests. It's just like the whole lifestyle of it, of like traveling around, meeting people, making memories and stuff. Like, I can't wait to go out on an adventure again. So for this year, doesn't look like we're going to have many contests. Maybe one in France, which I'm looking forward to if we do slalom. But just the feeling of traveling again. I can't wait. I'm not sure that answered your question, because I don't know where, like,
how long would you see yourself competing?
I don't know if it's a good thing to say. No, I'm kidding. So you see people on tour, like at 40, you're still on tour. It's possible in this sport. I have been doing it for a long time, so I'm not sure I'm going to do it till I'm 40. But the past 4 or 5 years, I felt like I've been enjoying it more and more every year. So I haven't set a final time for competing. It's like, as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as it's going well, I think I'm going to be doing it. It's like the best job in the world. I remember asking Steve Allen, like, he has been on tour for a long time and he was still there. And it's like, Steve, why do you still do this? And he literally said, like, this is the best job in the world. And I agree more and more with him every year.
Yeah, definitely. And is there a bucket list, like, of things you want to do or you wanted to do and you never really had the time because of competing, windsurf oriented? I don't know.
Yeah, sounds a bit silly, but I think I would definitely go to more like concerts and festivals in summertime in Europe. Maybe do like
something more like, I don't know, like Jaws or Luderitz or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds silly. Like, I want to go to a festival. I don't want to do Jaws. Go ahead.
No, I know what you mean, because that's exactly what I was asking you about, this adolescence period that you lose, because all our friends did it, and I went to the first festival at 23 years old or something,
Like, maybe sounds silly again. I want to land a double forward. I want to do push forwards. I want to get better at big waves, but Jaws is not necessarily appealing to me. Like I want to be good at a wave like Punta Preta, you know, Cabo Verde. Pretty big, but like it's shreddable, you know.
Yeah.
Jaws would be more of a bumpy ride down the face, and I'm not sure how much. I'm just scared. I don't want to go down that wave. It's big, so I don't know.
Double forwards and push forwards. That's huge.
I mean, I have the push loop down. Like, why can't I do the push forward yet? I'm gonna do it soon. Other than that, I just want to travel to certain places. Like Guadeloupe is a place I really want to see for windsurfing. There's this trip that Jules Lenel did in Tunisia, I think. Looked epic. But yeah, I just want to experience different spots.
Traveling. Yeah,
I think so.
I think this is what people don't understand, that we go on tour and we keep going kind of to the same places, you know, and
yeah,
you
years.
don't feel like traveling anymore because you go to that same cafe in Japan or in Korea or whatever, you know.
Which is nice because it's also familiar, but like going on tour the first couple of years was a total adventure because those were all new spots. Like every year when we have a new event, like that is a highlight. Portugal 2 years ago was really, really cool. France at some point, La Torche and Crozon for me was really nice.
Yeah.
So
I was actually like enjoying Korea.
I love Korea. It's great.
The first couple of years, it's like all new, and you know, why are all these old guys complaining, you know?
Yeah.
And then you catch yourself. I was really thinking to myself, you know, like the old guys complaining about certain things, whether it be money or not the greatest places on tour or whatever, and you know, and then 10 years passed and you're that old guy.
I'm ready now. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I let you go, I need to ask you some quick fire.
Yeah.
What are your pet peeves?
Pet peeves. A person leaving their telephone like on loud and we having to hear that person receiving all their messages and replying to it. Put it on silent. We don't need to know.
Basically what happened with my messenger just before, just a few minutes
That
ago.
was just one time. It's okay. But like 10 times in 20 seconds? Come on. Yeah.
This is one that I actually asked but I had only men so far. And I wonder if this applies to women as well. How many times a day do you pee your wetsuit?
You want to hear? I'm not shy about it, man. It's the best feeling in the world. Like, man, I'm from the Caribbean. Like, I don't like feeling cold, and I just feel like, I don't know, it's just warm for a second. So, all the time.
Best.
I rinse it afterwards.
In silt, you're like, you wish you could do it like every 30 seconds.
Oh, I have no problem with that.
When you run out.
Yeah.
Okay, so aside,
I'm sorry, too much information maybe, but yeah.
Aside from peeing the wetsuit, what is your guilty pleasure?
I guess chocolate is a bit boring. Watching the Kardashians sometimes. I don't watch it that much, but when I watch it, I watch it.
What is your top 5 windsurfers of all time?
Man, I have such a long list. Like, I look up to so many sailors, and then there's different disciplines. How am I going to name 5?
You have 5. That's all you're going to get. You can't have all the chocolates today, Sarah.
I want them all. I think, Goyito is one of the most ridiculous competitors ever. Invented so many freestyle moves. Antoine Albo, Boujma. Is that 3? 1, 2, 3. That's wave freestyle. I'm gonna throw Baltz in there also. He's amazing. And oh man! 1 second. I'm almost there. No. It's so hard. I wanna name everybody. Yeah. Also. I don't know. Maybe Kevin Pritchard. Like really good at everything. Yeah. I mean, but I need a guys and a girls list. Because then it's like, then it's like gonna be like Karen Yagi, Daida Ibaya, Steffi.
Okay, so top 5 women.
Yeah. Because like I'm not so good at like way before my time, but then in my time, yeah, it was Karen, Daida Ibaya, Steffi, I think also is a really good windsurfer. Yeah. Who else? There was one more.
4. Oh, it's okay.
You know, Colette Guadagnino. I always looked up to her a lot.
Most underrated windsurfer of all time.
Like I almost want to say Baltz. Like, because he kind of has this reputation of being a bit crazy and stuff, but the fact that he can do all of that stuff is because he's so good at windsurfing,
Yeah.
I feel like he's a bit underrated, I think. Because you see him foiling and stuff, but see him like freestyling normally on a sunset session in Fuerteventura, it blows your mind. Yeah, Baltz.
So I guess the next one goes without saying. Foil freestyle, yes or no? I'd say yes.
I like watching it. I am not so into doing it myself.
Why not?
I do so many disciplines already.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't feel so much for it at the moment to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not a good foiler. Maybe that's why.
Obstacles in slalom, yes or no?
Like jumping over obstacles? Not with slalom gear, no thank you. Like if it was Super X and and a board easier to control, then yes please, because that would be so much fun.
But it's so fun to jump on slalom gear. It's the best, like just straight jumps.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it. Not on slalom gear at all.
Okay. Beach starts in slalom.
Yes, let's do it. But like, yeah, we'd have to be like holding the gear, like not running towards the gear because I'm really slow on land. But if we can like hold the gear and then run to the water and get on the water, that would be so much fun. Yeah.
One spot you'd have to sail for the rest of your life every day. I mean, you're locked in a place. You have to choose a place.
Yeah, as much as I like Aruba and stuff, like it is very flat. So one of the places that I think is really good is Coronation in Australia. It's flat, there's small waves in front and then bigger waves behind. It's such a diverse spot. Yeah.
Who has the worst music on tour?
Who has the worst music?
Yeah.
I think when Amado and Jordi get together, they have this like house techno music on. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I don't get that as well.
Nobody likes it.
For somebody that's never been to a PWA event, Sarah doesn't go like 2 meters without her speaker. And it's just like reggaeton and hip hop.
Yeah, all the time. But it's not that techno stuff that they play. It's the worst.
I agree. Who's your worst competitor?
My worst competitor? How worse? Like hardest person?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, I've had the hardest contests, I guess, were with the twins, I guess. And not that is, yeah, they're really good competitors, really tough competitors. And I think those were like the mentally toughest contests. In the beginning in freestyle and later in wave sailing, like they're like, it's a wall you need to like go through, you know? So, yeah.
So good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then last but not least, who would you want to hear on this podcast? If you even listen sometimes to...
Yeah, I checked it out. It's been very interesting, all the guys that were on there. It's like nice to hear different perspectives. I agree that John Carter definitely needs to get on here.
It's gonna
but
be
I guess you got...
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think Uda's great. She has like this whole other professional life and then came into this professional life, so it's like maybe cool to hear different perspectives. And then you can ask that men-women question again.
I don't wanna. I feel so bad asking it, and
it's different perspectives.
You know, they always give me crap that I know everything, but this one I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, well, so then you can find out slowly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry because of the time difference, you had to kind of, I guess it's sailing time now, and we did it in the middle of your sailing time, but
it's okay. It's windy all day. I got an hour in. I can still go to the beach now. It's fine. No worries. Come down to Aruba. We'll go sailing every day.
Well, you're not gonna be there. You said you're leaving.
I mean, next season. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate flat water, so.
No, there's waves here also. Like, it's gonna surprise you.
Ethan always tells me, man, there's no waves in Aruba, and then I see you sailing waves all the time. So you're just too lazy to move to the other side of the island, I guess.
I scored it this season. It was great.
I saw you. This sick little turn into tail throw into hit whatever.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, it was really epic. I also didn't expect it, so it was like double the fun when we found those waves. It was great.
I'm gonna stop posting my wave sailing videos because you just so good.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maciek.
Appreciate it.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thanks a lot for watching. As usual, I hope you're enjoying these podcasts. They're a bit of a beast. So if you want to chip in some beers and you're liking the podcast and you want to keep them flowing, I'm sure Maciek, me and the crew would be, very much appreciated. You can sign up below. I'll put the link. If you want to see other podcasts that we've done, there's been some super interesting ones. The Craig from Fanatic, I think, stood out for me. And even the first one from Angulo. And don't forget Thomas Traversa. There's been so many cool podcasts, obviously available on Spotify and iTunes. Get involved, like and subscribe so you don't miss another video.